In this hand, I have a donut, and in this hand, I have an avocado. And by the end of this video, I wanna show you why healthy isn't actually real. And so I'm gonna start with a quick story. When I was 14 years old, my uncle Drew moved in with our immediate family. He had type 2 diabetes and a whole host of other health complications, was well obese, triple bypass surgery, the whole shebang. But when he lived with us, he would have to take his insulin for his type 2 diabetes. Now, sometimes he would take his insulin, but forget to eat or just wouldn't eat for a while. He didn't have a continuous glucose monitor. So at that point, a lot of the times his blood sugar levels would drop dangerously low, like well below 40. And so if you don't know, in terms of like type 2 diabetes, that's pretty low. And so he would end up losing clarity, starting to lose consciousness, would become very dazed, confused, all that stuff. And so in those moments, do you think that because he couldn't make the decision for himself and we had to feed him at that point to get his blood sugar levels up, do you think that we gave him the avocado, a food that is typically deemed as very, very healthy in most food diet realms, or did we give him a donut? We gave him a donut. And so why do we give him a donut, something that's always unhealthy? It's because in that moment, if we didn't give him the donut, he could die. And so it kind of goes to show that the donut itself isn't something that is unhealthy or healthy. Health is contextual. And so am I saying that donuts are healthier than avocados, or you should eat donuts instead of avocados? Absolutely not. The main point behind this video is to say that health is contextual, okay? It's not, is something healthy or not? Is an avocado healthy or not? Is a donut healthy or not? It's a dumb question to ask. It's not, is something healthy or not? It's to what degree is it healthy? It's not binary, a yes or no. It's to what degree is it healthy versus unhealthy, and for who, okay? And so for my uncle in that specific scenario, the donut was healthier than the avocado. Now, we can even take this a step further as to say, as opposed to asking, is something healthy or not, it's to what degree is this healthy and for who and when. And so take that same uncle, but in a different scenario. So beforehand, he would take his insulin and forget to eat, and his blood sugar levels would drop too low. And so we gave him the donut because that was the healthiest option for him. Now, take the other end of the spectrum. If he ate a lot of sugar and forgot to take his insulin, which happened a time or two, do you think that we gave him the donut, the same food that in a different scenario for the same person ended up saving his life? Do you think we gave him the donut in that scenario? Absolutely not. And so the reason for that is because at that point it was unhealthy. And so the same exact food, one that saved his life in one scenario, would have ended up hurting him, possibly killing him in a different scenario, was something that is deemed unhealthy, but is widely ranged in terms of what was healthy for him in that specific moment. And so it's not to say, is a donut healthy or not? It's to what degree is the donut healthy versus unhealthy and in what scenario, okay? It's contextual. Health needs context behind it. So all this kind of boils down really to say that health is contextual. There needs to be context before we start to argue if something is healthy or not. Health, in my opinion, is not binary, a yes or no. And unfortunately, a lot of our society today, we kind of see everything as being binary, where that's just not the case. And so what might work for some people doesn't work for another person. That doesn't mean this person's wrong or right. It's just to what degree are they right? They're right for them in their scenario, whereas this is right for them in their scenario. You know, you can probably see this problem if you just think about general, like just the basics of the fitness industry right now, or like when people are on social media kind of arguing about what's healthy or not, and everybody throws in their opinion. The problem behind the healthy or not thinking is not that they're inherently wrong. It's just that they're not completely right either. And so here's what I mean by that. So you probably know a vegan that's like 100% on their camp, like
vegan is the way to go. It's the healthiest thing in the world. Like, it's so clean. It's helped me out entirely.
And you probably know some carnivore dude that's like,
carnivore is the best thing ever. It's so healthy. All my blood work levels have gotten so much better.
And there's real anecdotal and scientific evidence that support both camps entirely. You can find it out there, and it's not kind of just an outlier at this point. There is definitely sufficient evidence to support both sides. That might be an argument for, is scientific evidence real? Is it biased? That's a whole video. But let's assume that these camps have sufficient evidence on both sides, which they probably do. Now, is it right to say for a carnivore, oh, I'm right and the vegans are wrong, which is kind of what they're arguing, or the vegans saying, shouldn't eat red meat because that's wrong and it's not healthy and we're right? No, it's not, is this side healthy or is this side healthy or not? It's to what degree is it healthy and for who, okay? And so it's contextual. For the carnivores, they might be healthier. That is a real thing. It is true for them, but not for the vegans. And so they found something that works for them and it's healthy for them. Their blood levels and everything that they've gotten checked from a doctor comes back well. Whereas the carnivores, same thing for them. So it's not the specific foods that are healthy or not. So to say like red meat is not healthy, it's a dumb argument, right? Because, and you can come back with this video with a bunch of scientific evidence, well, it raises your saturated fat levels, LP(a) and cholesterol, and then they can also say the same things about like seed oils, and everybody's got their arguments. But the truth of the matter is that it's not healthy or not, it's to what degree is it healthy and for who and when, meaning that it is contextual, okay? Health provides context, it needs context. So I've kind of taken you on this argumentative whirlwind of evidence, kind of anecdotally, of what might be healthy or not, or at least the way that I like to think about health. So probably asking yourself, well, how do I know what's healthy for me, if that's the case? So for me personally, I kind of follow 3 steps to figure out what's healthy for me, and it's really helped me in terms of, especially when I was starting to get into health and fitness and starting to understand, like, what does this all mean? There's so much conflicting evidence. What is the actual truths that are inherent truths, not something that you can argue, it's just true. And so number 1 is understand what the principles of food are. And so quick story, when I was in college, my freshman year, people usually put on the freshman 15, they call it. I put on probably the freshman 30, honestly. And so I kind of came to a point where I was like, all right, I need to get rid of this. I need to start learning about like how to lose fat. You know? At the same time, I was a biology major and I started learning about the human body. And so I started to learn, okay, well, body fat isn't something that like you can eat a certain specific food and it just kind of like goes in there, chops it up and like incinerates the fats and blows it into oblivion, and that's how I lose body fat. That's kind of, in all honesty, that's the way I thought. I thought it was like, okay, well, if I eat a carrot, you know, I found this evidence that carrot helps you lose body fat. So I think the carrot, there's gotta be something inside of it that like, when I eat it, it goes to the body fat and it like punches it out of the way and it's like knocks it off. That's how I thought. But unfortunately, it's just not true. And so I started to learn, okay, you know, it comes down to energy expenditure. This food has a lot of energy in it, and then if I don't burn that energy, it's got to get stored somewhere, because the second law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred or transformed. And in the case of food, it gets transferred and transformed into body fat if I don't transfer it into heat energy by moving around. Kind of makes sense. Okay, so I started to learn what the principles of eating are and how our metabolism works in terms of burning energy, storing energy. So at that point, I started to learn about like, okay, well, specific foods have more energy than others. And this takes me to my next point. Number 2 is you have to know yourself, okay? If you have an avocado allergy, it doesn't matter how healthy this food is deemed or marketed to be, because people want you to sell some more avocados, which unfortunately, that's how a lot of our health foods come into play, just from marketing. It's not like, okay, well, avocados are healthy and they're gonna help me, you know, cure cancer or something like that, so I should eat a bunch of avocados. Well, you have an avocado allergy, so it's not healthy for you, and so you shouldn't have it, right? There's plenty of other foods that are healthier than avocados for you. Another example of why health is contextual. Can't tell someone, well, peanuts are healthy, so you should eat peanuts. Well, you got a peanut allergy. I can't have it, so it's not healthy for me, okay? You have to know yourself. And so for me specifically, what I wanted to do was I wanted to lose weight, and I knew myself as being someone that likes to eat. My nickname growing up was Choochie. I was a big eater. It was like Chooch, like stocky kind of kid. I love to eat a lot of foods. And so if I wanted to lose fat, and I understood now from step 1, how the body gains fat, which is just an abundance of energy that I'm not burning, I could either eat a lot of food and I'd have to run a lot and move a lot and just like really like be moving throughout the day and burning all that energy. Or I can find ways to fill up my stomach without getting in all that extra energy so that I wouldn't store it as body fat and I wouldn't have to run a marathon every day, right? So I knew myself. I know that I'm a big eater. I know that if I set a goal to lose fat, I have to find a way to include the things that I enjoy and make it fit the principles of eating, right? I can't be delusional. It has to happen. I knew myself and I had to find a way to make that work, which brings me to step 3, which was identify your dream outcome or goal. And so my goal was to lose fat. Peanut butter is very, very packed with energy. And so I could honestly, there was times when I eat full scoops of like big, massive scoops, like half the tub of peanut butter, because I loved it, and throw it in some shakes. And I thought it was healthy because They say peanut butter is healthy. Okay, well, if you say it's healthy, then I'll eat it. That's not the case for me, for my goal, for my personality. So I understood what the principle of food was, which was that, I can't eat the peanut butter because it's a lot of energy. And if I did eat it, I would just have to move more, or I'd have to take away food from other stuff. But I'm a big eater. I like it. And it's not going to fill up my stomach, unfortunately. And so peanut butter was not a healthy food option for me at that time. And so my dream goal was to lose fat, have some abs, things like that. And peanut butter wasn't going to help me get there. Right? So then it's just about making swaps. And so peanut butter wasn't the healthiest. I'm not saying it was unhealthy. I could totally eat peanut butter and be fine and still lose fat. But for me, in my scenario, it's just about weighing the pros and cons. I know myself. And so peanut butter wasn't really gonna help me get there. And so it wasn't healthy for me. If somebody's goal is to gain weight, if they're on the really skinny end, peanut butter would be their best friend. And that's what I tell a lot of my clients that are looking to gain weight. Peanut butter is your best friend. If you like peanut butter and you don't have a peanut allergy, eat it up. It's gonna be amazing for you. And so the same food item, peanut butter, it's very healthy for them and gonna get them to their goals and help them, feel satisfied about themselves, good body image, which we can all agree is healthy, right? And so that same peanut butter food that's healthy for them just wasn't gonna be healthy for me. And if I overate the peanut butter, I was gonna become even more overweight, possibly obese, which we can all agree is unhealthy. No one thing is technically healthy or unhealthy. And we can even the donut was probably the biggest example of an unhealthy food. Very processed, tons of sugar, not a lot of protein, not very satiating, bunch of oils. Literally think of any sort of camp that kind of demonizes specific foods, and this is the epitome of it. And yet for some reason, it was healthy in my uncle's scenario to help him gain back clarity and not die. Basically all this to say that hopefully I kind of shown you a little bit of examples and the way that I like to think about what's actually healthy, and that healthy is not a real thing. It's contextual. And so you should really just apply the main principles of what food is, know yourself and what will work for you depending on your allergies, preferences, likes, things like that, and then identify your dream outcome. And if you have those three things, you'll get to where you need to go. So unless your goal is to really be overweight and as scientifically unhealthy as possible, high cholesterol levels and yada, then of course don't follow these rules. But if your goal is to, have your blood work come back healthy, feel positive in your body, be able to move around, feel good about yourself, not be winded walking up the stairs, then those are some good principles that I have followed that have helped me, and nobody can take that away from you. Even if somebody says, well, avocados are healthy and you should eat them, so how come you're not eating them? Because they're not healthy for me. Well, you should. Okay. And just go about your day. And so that's kind of my 2 cents on health. If you liked it, let me know in the comments. If I missed something or if you have a different argument against mine, I'd love to hear it. I'm just, a young kid trying to figure this way out in the world. Those are kind of just my opinions on health, at least from all the camps that I've kind of seen. I've been in this space for a lot of years now at this point, at least for the fitness space and the health space, physiology, all that stuff. And so everybody's got their own 2 cents, and I don't think necessarily anybody's wrong. I just don't think they're entirely right. They're very niche down, which is totally cool. Yeah, the carnivore people definitely help their carnivore people, vegans help their vegans. I just kind of think that everybody is partially right, especially if it's helping them specifically. So it's contextual. That kind of wraps it up here though. If you like it, subscribe. Let me know where I'm wrong. Call me an idiot if you want. I just find what works for me.